Check, check, check. All right, we are recording this live from my 2016 Dodge Dart
Yo.
Sports Edition, sponsored by Guayaki brand yerba mate.
Very tasty.
Okay, so this is pretty much the first official podcast. We're doing it correct. We've got the video component. We also have this fancy digital recorder. I'll put the information, the specs on it. It'll be on the YouTube, whatever it's called. It's
The description or whatever, the video description.
And so today it's Sunday, August 26th, 2018, and Christian is visiting from Hanford, California. We're currently in the little town of Felton, California, which is in the San Lorenzo Valley, Santa Cruz County, Central Coast.
Thanks, bro, again for getting me out here. It's been a lot of fun. Karaoke, your new job. It's been very action-packed. So thank you for it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Chris took the Amtrak from Hanford to Stockton, and then he took the Amtrak bus from Stockton to San Jose, and then he took, I think, a Metro Express, Metro 17 bus from San Jose to downtown Santa Cruz. So how was that? How was that train ride, bus rides? How long did it take?
I think it was roughly 6 hours total. It was all good. The only moment that was a little awkward was this mom and her little baby sat next to me in the train, and the baby was like, he was being a loud one. But I had my headphones on, and I had the window seat, so it was chill. It was all good. It was cool.
So that was it. There was no other shenanigans. There wasn't anyone trying to, what is it called when you get on a train or bus without paying?
No. That would have been wild, but
some people jump on trains or buses when they get to a stop. I've been on a Greyhound bus, or it might have been an Amtrak bus. We stopped at a McDonald's on our way to Southern California, and then someone jumped on the bus during that stop.
Ooh.
And so the bus driver was doing a head count, and then he counted an extra person, and then quickly they have ways of figuring out who has tickets.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess the bus driver didn't remember this new dude that was on the bus. So that shit, man, that didn't happen when you were on your way over?
No, there was no stops at McDonald's or anything like that. No, it was all just stops at the stations. But the last bus that I was on, a guy was like, "Oh, is anyone sitting over here?" So he sat next to me, and he smelled heavy smell of ganja.
Huh.
Which totally cool with, but I have, I've taken a break from the consumption of cannabis, trying to pass drug tests, trying to get work. So, but the smell, it was, it was third eye opening. No, but yeah, no, it was super chill the whole way through. It was cool.
Right on. That's cool. I mean, would have been nice if some shit would have gone down, but
It was all cool when we got to Santa Cruz. You know, it's been a minute since, I think March. I was out in Santa Cruz with their cousin, late March. But we didn't really, we hung out, but it was more of there was like a convention going on. But yeah,
sneaker con.
Yeah. It was a different rhythm. This one has just been super chill. Santa Cruz, definitely weather change. It's brisk out here. Hanford is like triple digits or mid upper 90s. The heat is just hardcore. But it's all good.
And you mentioned that you're trying to pass a drug test.
Legitimately, yeah.
And so you've been unemployed for how long now?
I would say a good 6 months.
So a solid 6 months. Your unemployment has run out.
Last month.
So you're not collecting any unemployment. How many interviews would you say you've had?
Maybe 5 or 6. And they've all been pretty much retail. One, I think, was kind of a over the phone interview, and the manager or whoever she was, supervisor she was talking to me over the phone. She was telling me about a job. It was working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and it was basically washing the vehicles and vacuuming them. And she brought up, that it would be mainly work would be outside, and that if I could handle being outside, with the heat. And because I guess I paused or something, I don't.
You hesitated.
I hesitated, and she even said, "Oh, I noticed some hesitation on that." And yeah, that was the beginning of the end for that phone interview. But hey, it's not meant to be. But yeah, it's been like maybe 4 or 5 actually going to the stores, and it just hasn't happened yet. But I try to keep busy. I'm trying to get some help from this job center work source office in town of Hanford. So we'll see how that goes. There's a job fair coming up in like 3 weeks. I should definitely see what's going on. Still recording?
No, I think it actually stopped recording. That's why it went.
It might have matched.
So anyway, so the video component has stopped. Let's see if we can get it back. All right, so it looks like we're back with the video component. So I made a little list of things to talk about in this episode of the Big Nose Bros podcast, and And one of the things is switching careers, which Chris is currently in the process of doing. You know, for what was it, 8 years or something like that, maybe less, because you first were doing retail and then you started doing video editing in North Hollywood. But you were pretty much just doing video editing for what, 5+ years, 6 years, 7 years?
I would say probably, because I worked in Fresno KC24 for definitely over a year, so it could have been 8 to 10 years of video editing. I did it. I could maybe down the road continue, get back into it, but right now I just kind of feel like I want to get back to, I guess retail. I kind of just look at it more, I don't want to call it retail, just more like customer service type jobs. But I'm also looking into like clerk office jobs in schools. So I don't know, video editing has never been like some sort of amazing job or career for me. It's just been something that it was like a plan B, just to pay bills. And I got hooked up pretty much with a gig in Fresno during my college days, and I was getting the work done, and at one point I was like, man, editing in Fresno, it would just be cool if I can do the same thing but in Los Angeles. I had that kind of thought in my mind, and that could have been just, we grew up in a small town, so definitely wanted to experience more than that. So that whole Hollywood dream, chasing that led me to move to North Hollywood and get involved with the stuff that I was getting into. But North Hollywood turned into Rosarito, Mexico, and then that was just kind of a detour into me moving back to the Central Valley. I guess Hanford. Those are all Central Valley.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's considered Central Valley or something.
Video editing, though, for me, definitely burned out from it.
And it's a burnout that is, an authentic, like, you've mastered the art of video editing or your style of it. There's nothing in the job that you're doing stressed you out or made you nervous, made you feel uncomfortable because you're not 100% confident in your abilities. It was more, you just got bored doing it, and maybe the people around you that were producing, or people that the human beings that you were interacting with, that was probably more of the reason why you were burnt out from doing the work.
Yeah, I would say a combination of the people that whatever their situation is. It was throwing me off. The setting, the cubicle setting, I'm not a big fan of that. And actual video editing, I would definitely say my abilities were strong. But yeah, definitely burned out. And now, now that I'm in Hanford, there's no TV stations in Hanford. The closest one is probably a good 40 minutes to an hour away in Fresno. I don't really have a vehicle, but I could definitely borrow a vehicle. But I don't know, at this, yeah, there must be some sort of timer or just...
The video component is, I'm using an LG smartphone, a prepaid LG smartphone that I bought on Black Friday last year. No, wait. Yeah, it was last year. Black Friday's after Thanksgiving, so... Anyways, you were saying?
Could I get back into editing? I probably could. I could probably hit up my old boss at KC24. But at this time, my thought, my idea for making money in Hanford is just possibly getting some sort of local job in town. It's like less than a mile away from where we're living. I could just cruise over there on a bike. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm pursuing at the moment. Trying to just minimize bills, like, gas, car insurance, stuff like that. I'm unemployed. Unemployment ended. I'm getting food stamps, so that helps food-wise. Getting help from our parents here and there. Getting help from my cousin, who works at a factory, a meat factory, and I'm trying to not really feeling that sort of work. So we'll see. Hopefully soon I can get hired somewhere.
Speaking of switching careers, I've definitely had a bunch of different jobs in the last 5 years. 5 or 6 years, I've had like 3 different jobs, or maybe 4 if you count driving for Uber and Lyft. That's one. Before that, I was working for the post office for like 4 years, almost 4 years. That's 2. Before that, I was working as in accounting. I was a compliance auditor, and I think that's 3. And then now I'm still driving part-time for Uber and Lyft, but I started working for a new company that the sole purpose of the company is to sell and deliver the delicious Guayaki brand yerba mate. You can find it pretty much everywhere. these days. One thing I will say, when I worked as a compliance auditor, I definitely didn't feel comfortable, and I did that work for almost 4 years. There were aspects of that work that I didn't feel confident doing, and you know, I'd get nervous if it was a really complicated, you know, audit with all these little elements, and communicating to someone, you know, whoever we were auditing, calling them on the phone and talking to them with confidence was not my strong ability. And then you know, I started kind of spiraling down, and I was smoking a lot of weed, you know, morning, noon, and night, and I kind of sabotaged that job for myself, and you know, it's one of my regrets that I didn't master that job. I didn't get confident. I didn't get good. Oh, because of the
file size.
So we're back. So yeah, so you know, now I'm in my 30s. That was in my mid-20s. Now I'm in my 30s, and I feel like you can't be nervous. I mean, it's okay to be nervous, but then you have to get through that nervous feelings and anxiety, and you need to just practice. You need to talk to people that know what they're doing. You need to, you know, if there's certain things you have to say, there's certain things you need to memorize. There's certain things. It's all about repetition. It's all about, you know, practice. You can only go so far winging it, and then until you fuck up and you either get hurt, you get fired, you embarrass yourself. You know, the other day I was pretending like I knew how to move a pallet of product, and I had this like pallet jack, and I was like putting it underneath this pallet, and then someone was like, "Bro, you're doing it wrong. You're not putting the jack in the correct part of the pallet." And I was like, "Can you tell that I'm just making this shit up as I go along?" And people started laughing, and then I was able to learn how to do things correctly and not take it the wrong way that someone was correcting me. You know, I think it's part of growing up, and I'm sure people learn this stuff in their teenage years, in their 20s. You know, it's taken me, you know, I'm in my early 30s now. I'm 33. We're 33, turning 34 next month. And I feel like now I'm a bit more mature. I don't know everything, obviously, and I'm ready to just learn how to do shit correctly and to get that confidence and be, you know, the best whatever employee, the best, you know, I'm married, so you know, I try to be a good husband. You know, we have 2 dogs and 4 cats, and I try to, you know, I'm looking for a photo of one of the dogs, but
Maybe you can pull one up. Oh yeah.
but yeah, I'll post a photo.
Yeah, we can always add it.
And so, anyways, so yeah, I'm just trying to work and pay the bills, and if I have to work 7 days a week, you know, I'm ready to do that, and so I'm definitely
toast to, you know.
I'm definitely rooting for Chris to get work soon. I think that that if we could get him a vehicle like a hybrid, that would be a great way to get him driving, at least for Uber and for Lyft. It's definitely not the best paying gig, but at least you can work 7 days a week. You could put in, you can make your own schedule and work whatever hours you want to work, and until you find something better, which obviously I did. I drove for Uber and Lyft for a year full time before I started working for this new company, and so yeah, it's definitely, shit happens, man. I mean, things can happen. Things can take a long time, and things can happen within 24 hours. You have a new job, so it's just a waiting game.
Yeah, that's definitely what where I'm at.
And we're gonna be taking a break soon. In about 3 minutes, I gotta go flip the laundry, put it in the dryer.
We're definitely multitasking. Oh, the recording stuff.
We're back. The Big Nose Bros. I was saying that we're gonna need to flip the laundry, put it in the dryer. So we're gonna be taking a break in a couple minutes.
We're multitasking. We're not only are we shooting a podcast, we're also getting some laundry done, which for people out there listening, watching, it's a good way of being productive. It's killing two birds with one stone, getting some laundry done, and getting the Big Nose Bros. This is the first podcast, episode 1.
That's correct. And we're gonna switch into current events. Speaking of Uber and Lyft, there was a recent story here. It says thousands of Uber drivers are going to be getting $75. It says here thousands of Uber drivers set to get $75 before lawyers' fees in some kind of settlement. It says here lawyers representing over 4,500 Uber drivers who claim they were consistently underpaid by the company have now asked a federal judge to approve a settlement. If U.S. District Judge William Alsup agrees, Uber will pay out $345,622. When divided amongst the group, that will result in approximately $75 per person before attorney fees are calculated. Well, that's annoying. So that means that it's probably going to be less than $75 because the attorney fees need to be calculated.
So maybe you'll really be getting $20 to $40.
I don't know.
Have you gotten any sort of mail or any?
And I'll say this. I mean, this is not just an Uber thing. Lyft has also been, sued, and there's this big class action lawsuit. But for some reason, Lyft is able to hide a lot of news, a lot of negative news about their company. I'm not sure how they do it exactly, but yeah, it's not just an Uber thing. Lyft also is going through a settlement, and because I drive for both Uber and Lyft, any extra money that I can get from these companies makes me happy because
Let's toast. Yerba mate.
Let's toast to free money. These companies are making millions of dollars off the backs of hardworking people that don't get health insurance, don't get paid vacations, don't get any kind of paid holidays, There's no 401ks. There's no, stock. We're up, and that means it's time to take a break and go flip the laundry. We'll be back in a few minutes. Big no. This. Okay. Just finished flipping the laundry. And so we were talking about current events.
And you're going to be getting a
Uber and Lyft.
little settlement check.
Can't wait for that. Any extra money is definitely nice. This podcast is brought to you by Guayaki Brand Yerba Mate, the unofficial sponsor of the Big Nose Bros podcast. And one of the current events, so I guess with Netflix, there's still 3 million people using Netflix for DVDs. So when you do the math, you got 3 million people paying, $10 a month. Let me see that. 3 million times $10 is $30 million. And that's just for people that are doing DVDs. That's not even counting people that just do the streaming, which is also, I think, $10 a month. So, fucking Netflix, man. They're just swimming in money. I wouldn't be surprised if they're making $1 billion every year off of their service. And I'm still kicking myself that when they were based in Scotts Valley back in like early 2000s, I used to drive by the Netflix headquarters when I was heading to school, because I went to a university that used to be in Scotts Valley. So I can say that I have a business degree from a school that went out of business. But graduated with honors.
Good job, bro.
And so it's annoying that, back then, if I had been doing research, if I had been reading business magazines and whatever, getting information on, what's possibly going to be huge, I could have got my foot in the door and tried to get some kind of internship or some kind of work for Netflix, and then all of a sudden, now it's on top of the world. It's probably the #1 streaming service, and they're producing all this original content, and they're just killing it with original content. And whenever I think about Netflix, I think about I could have been a part of that, which is a lesson to be learned. Try to, money isn't everything, but unfortunately, it's necessary. You need it if you want to get shit done, if you want to eat well, and if you want to wear, good clothing.
I hear you, bro. Now I think they're based out of like Los Angeles or Culver City.
Well, they have offices everywhere. I mean, their headquarters, I want to say, is in Los Gatos, on the outskirts of Los Gatos, and maybe Santa Clara. But yeah, they have offices in LA. They have offices probably in San Francisco. They have offices all over the world. They have international offices because obviously all their content is also got audio tracks in different language, subtitles in different languages. So, you know, they're not just, you know, domestic. They're fucking everywhere. Yeah. They're all over the world. They're ridiculous. Goddamn cash cows.
But, you know, I guess one could say whatever your passion is or whatever your talent, if you're into being an actor or, like you said, business, or like even if you're writing, if you have ideas for content, you can have your day job and you can do those things after work. You can write, you can in a way try to be involved.
Yeah, I've been shitting on Connecticut for years.
You know, if that whole Netflix, there's ways, you know.
And I'm sorry that as you were speaking, I accidentally played a little bit of the next current event that popped up, which is Joe Rogan hates Connecticut. And so here's a quick little clip of Joe Rogan speaking on the state of Connecticut.
To certain states, yeah. I've been shitting on Connecticut for years. You have blowback. Your shitting on Connecticut gets to me. In other words, people come up to me and they're like, I'm talking like in a coffee shop. Someone will be like, why does Joe hate Connecticut? I'm like, what?
Are there fights next week?
Yes. Yeah, Vegas. We're going to be there, son.
Oh, I'm in Connecticut hosting ESPN Sports Center.
So this is a little compilation YouTube video. You guys are listening to the audio of Joe Rogan and how he hates Connecticut. And so this is Brendan Schaub talking about how he's going to be doing stand-up comedy in Connecticut. And then we're about to hear Joe Rogan talk about his opinion on the state.
That are breaking down the fights.
You gotta go to Connecticut?
Connecticut, Bristol.
That would say, like, we're gonna put a bullet in the back of your head like we did to Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, like naming
off.
off.
Where'd you go to school? Where were you? What part of the country?
Stanford High School in Connecticut.
Okay, that's a shithole.
Yeah, it's a total shithole.
I hate Connecticut.
Yeah.
Especially the people. Like Connecticut is a fucking strange state. You got people around the edges that are near Boston or that are near New York that are cool. They're like kind of like, I didn't want to live in the city. I want a yard, so they go to Connecticut.
Right.
And then you got those fucking deep weirdos. I did one of the casinos a few years back. We did a weekend at the casino, and I was like, I don't ever want to fucking do this again. This is horrible. One of those Indian casinos. I was like, this place is fucking depressing. These people are like legitimate.
What's what you want to do next time?
But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some nice people there, but they're all dying to get out. I think Connecticut's the worst though, because Connecticut's depressing to me. But there's something depressing about Connecticut where like Connecticut always feels like there's no hope, and Hartford is surprisingly shitty.
I know.
You think of Hartford, Connecticut.
So I'll stop it there. So speaking of no hope, Joe Rogan's talking trash about Connecticut. We've never been to Connecticut. We don't know. We can't really speak on that. But the town that we're from, that we grew up in, the town of Chowchilla, California, which is in the Central Valley. It's like 30 minutes north of Fresno.
Super small town. One main road, one main street.
It's known for two things. Two famous things. The first one is a school bus.
Kidnapping.
Yeah, the school bus was hijacked by a bunch of dudes who I believe were from Berkeley, California, and they were holding the kids and the bus driver for ransom. And so that happened in the 70s. And then the second thing would be the largest California state women's prison is located in Chowchilla.
real quick, in my time of unemployment in Hanford, which is a solid, probably, well over an hour and a half from Chowchilla, I started looking into that whole school bus kidnapping and the details of how police at that time, the bus driver mentioned that he did see the license plate of the hijackers or of the kidnappers. Oh, that sucks.
So the video component, well, I guess I could switch to another camera, which I'm actually doing right now. Let's see here. This thing's hot.
Should we put the charger cable down or?
Okay, so we're back with the video component. Different phone.
So I was looking into the whole school bus kidnapping that was happened in the 70s, and I guess they find the kids, they find the school bus driver, and the bus driver tells police that he saw at one point the kidnappers. He saw their vehicle, and in the Wikipedia, at least in the research that I found, police used they under hypnosis, they put the bus driver in hypnosis, and he was able to tell them the license plate number. And I totally thought that was wild, and it definitely sparked ideas of a different kind of angle, because they have done films. I think there's been maybe two films on the school bus kidnapping, and I think some TV shows have kind of told the tale. But I almost feel like if I would want to see a film about that situation in kind of like a Rob Zombie type, gritty, grindhouse. Like it could be loosely based on the story of a school bus full of kids getting, hijacked, kidnapped. So that's something that's kind of been in the works, but we'll see. Definitely glad to be back in the Central Valley. Los Angeles was what it was, the adventures there, but adventures don't need to stop just because I'm back in good old farm towns.
Exactly. The way I see it, because you're an artist, because you sing and you write and you have certain skills that make you someone that can create all kinds of different, you also know how to draw, you basically created this logo.
Even though, in noticing because I think I have the original drawing.
So your drawing inspired this professional graphic design that, hopefully, my hope is that before Christmas we'll have an episode of an animated short and it'll be this style of animation. And so
this though, to be honest, was the original drawing. And if we compare it to,
it's very, very similar. You can see it's extremely similar. I think the graphic artist who created this, he basically he drew over this drawing. He went over it, and then he also did some copying and pasting, because I think he said that the noses are the same nose, but it might be slightly modified. And anyways,
yeah. And now that I have this freaking please hire me haircut, but whatever.
This haircut happened yesterday. When he showed up, he had hair pretty much down his shoulders.
Yep.
And now he's got the more professional, in the world of employment, there's definitely discrimination for dudes with long hair. Right away, people see the long hair and they think, this guy is probably not going to be reliable. This guy is probably going to call in sick, call in sick. And so when you show up with a fresh haircut, it shows that you mean business. And then, of course, you can always grow your hair out after you get that job. And so maybe we can do one more current event.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But to kind of in closing for the whole No Hope small town Chowchilla, that whole school bus thing and the hypnosis, that element, I was like, what? Like, that is some like the way I kind of visualize it, I want to touch on that movie Get Out, how trippy when, not a, spoiler alert, but there is some hypnosis that goes on in that movie Get Out. So that element was just tripped me out a little bit. Like, wow, okay. In the 70s, even, sure, it goes on to today. Hypnosis, helping with cases, someone gets knocked out or drugged and can't remember things. Hypnosis is a tool that could be used to, who knows, unlock and find evidence to help. It's very trippy. So, yeah, let's see any funny current events,
let's finish with this current event that deals with video games. Christian and I were raised on video games. We played Nintendo. We've pretty much played every Nintendo console except for maybe the latest Nintendo Switch. I've never really played it.
No.
But we've pretty much, grew up playing video games like it was a full-time gig. And I'm looking here, and there is, it says here, a Fortnite developer, what is this? Had...
If you double click.
So the screen is cutting out one of the words, so I'm not able... Okay, here we go. So Fortnite developer had sharp words for Google after a scary Android exploit was discovered. Google essentially got slapped in the face when Epic Games, the developer of the super popular Fortnite, decided not to make the game available through the Play Store, but via its own app. Google warned Epic that doing so could potentially put Android users at greater security risk, but the game developer brushed it off, insisting on going it alone for several reasons, including not having to give Google a cut in app revenue and embracing open platforms. And so...
Good job, Epic Games. That sounds like...
Yeah, Google's got enough money, man. They don't need to be getting a cut of the hard work of creating, the Fortnite game. And have you played Fortnite?
Not really. No, I've seen it being played.
I've played it, and it's definitely a fun. You can master the controls fairly quickly, probably in less than an hour. You're playing the game comfortably, and it's kind of a race when you play it. You're trying to build all these different walls and bridges, and it's a race against this electric wave of energy that's slowly coming from all angles of the map, and you're trying to just be the last man standing, basically. And I could be fucking up this description because I've only played it for like 5 minutes, but one of the fun things about it too is you're also, when you start the game, you're, I think, jumping off of some kind of blimp or plane or whatever, and so you're just kind of free falling onto the map, and I don't know, that's always kind of cool.
Visually, that looks cool. It looks, and you can, it's like skydiving.
It's an addicting game. Obviously, millions of people are playing it. I don't play fancy console games. I wish that I had a man cave with all of that stuff. I would totally enjoy it. And if I was rich, I would definitely, if I had a bunch of money, I would probably play more video games. But because I'm not wealthy, I pretty much play 2 games currently, and I try to minimize the time that I spend playing them to maybe 30 minutes a day, which one of the games is Clash of Clans. That game's been around for 6 years. It's a mobile game. It's very similar to Warcraft, Orcs vs. Humans, which was a game that I enjoyed playing when I was a kid on our first family computer that we bought from Costco. And
we changed the audio to our own voices.
Yeah, you could do that in, I think, the second or third version of Warcraft. They allowed you to add your own audio, so whenever you killed somebody, you could hear your voice, pretending like you were dying or whatever. It was kind of cool. And so Clash of Clans, favorite game, and then my new second game that I've been playing is the new Command and Conquer Rivals game. I think that's what it is, Command and Conquer Rivals. It just came out, and it's a fun game. You're playing against random people, and I'm guessing it uses artificial intelligence. I don't think that people are actually on their phones, and then all of a sudden they get challenged to fight someone. I'm pretty sure it's similar to Clash of Clans, where the game finds someone that is sort of at your level, and then they use artificial intelligence to fight you, and then you're obviously doing your own strategy and trying to win. And each battle takes 5 minutes or less, which I like being able to just play for 5 minutes and then get out and then go and do something else. And so yeah,
I don't play video games. Well, our cousin does have the retro SNES, sort of maybe a year or 2 years old, that was released by Nintendo that has like, I think 15 games. So we did play. Oh, expired. What does that mean? Does that mean that the video ran out? Let me see here.
So we're back, and just to finish what you were saying about,
I don't really play video games, but I was, in my moving back to Central Valley, I was hanging out with cousin and playing video games, Super Nintendo. But in my mind lately, I've thought, once I get my own spot, I kind of want to get a PS2 and at least have Guitar Hero on the ready, because I don't know, I remember that was definitely I had some good times playing that, and it's music, and it does kind of, there's some guitar elements definitely that could strengthen my hand. But no, yeah, that's in my kind of video game pursuit. Guitar Hero is definitely on my list of, and I still have the old N64, and I do have a Super Nintendo system with a couple games, decent games, so that's in the mix,
old school. And on that note, we're going to end this episode of the Big Nose Bros podcast. I got to go finish the laundry. And so, yeah, first episode, we did it. We knocked it out. Done. Thank you guys for listening. And hopefully we'll be recording a second episode very soon. And everyone, stay positive. Work hard. If you got to work 7 days a week, do it. And be good. Don't be to quote Google's motto, don't be evil, I think is what their slogan is. And you can research that. I'm pretty sure it's don't be evil. All right, guys.
And don't let negativity from others, don't let that take over, or, just definitely try to stay centered and focused.
Nice. Words of wisdom. All right, guys. Adios.
We did it.
Just done.